In John Bunyan's Pilgrim's Progress, if you haven't secured a copy of it, you might want to do that and use it for your summer reading. But in John Bunyan's Pilgrim's Progress, Christian is trying to get to the celestial city. On his way there, the giant despair accosts, arrests, carts him off to Doubting Castle, imprisons him, and every day beats him. We know something about that. Living in a dungeon where you have lost your joy and your song, where hope seems to be despaired, and you're beaten all day long. But like Christian, who while in castle dungeon, our dungeon castle discovered when he was fumbling through his pockets a key, and he said to himself, "What a fool I have been, that I have a key of promise that can unlock every door." And he did that. Some doors were more difficult to unlock, but that key possessed the power to unlock every locked door. The key was the key of promise. The key was the Word of God. And this morning, some of us, like Christian, were in our own dungeon castle, despaired and being beaten daily, locked in by doubt, and won't take the time to pull out the key of the Word and unlock the doors that have us incarcerated. I know that it's difficult for most Christians to admit that they have ever in their life been locked in Doubting Castle. But that might be your address, as it was the address of other great Christians like Mother Teresa. She found herself locked in Doubting Castle when her memoirs were discovered and the writings of her confessor to her confessing to her confessor, Reverend Vanderfleet. She admitted on several occasions that she had prayed and it seemed like God had not answered her prayers. That she confessed that she was a Christian, but many days she felt as if she were not a Christian. Or you could be like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., preaching, pastoring, leading a civil rights movement, and under the threat of death came sitting in his little kitchen with his arms folded at the little table while coffee was being brewed. And he came to the deepest moment of despair, questioning whether or not there really was and really is a God. You may find yourself like Michael de Montaigne, who the French philosopher and essayist, who wanted on one hand to be a person of faith, but on the other hand, he was always gripped by doubt. And then at the moment of death, he stretched out his hand to the priest for the sacrament. Or you could be like Martin Luther, who has helped shape the way that you and I worship in this room today, who gives the Bible to the congregation, was running for his life, and the Duke of Saxony took him in and imprisoned him for his own protection. And in the early mornings when he would pray and the bats would drop chestnuts, he always assumed it was the devil that was bombing him. Or you could be like Jeremiah, Jesus' favorite preacher, who cursed the day in Jeremiah 20 that he was born, and even said, and curse out whoever brought my mama and daddy the news that I was born. Or you could be like the prophet Elijah, who in fact asked God to kill him, take him out, unfit, unworthy. And these are not the testimonies of agnostics. This is not the story of people who don't believe. These are the testimonies of people, men and women, of deep and abiding faith. If somebody asks you this morning, where do you live? Could you say that your address is at the Castle of Doubt? Maybe you're not there now. Maybe you've been there. But if you're not there and haven't been there, keep living. Everybody comes to a moment where you come face to face with the giant of despair, something to try to make you not believe that God is who God says he is. I wish I had time to preach. That's a whole sermon right there, that there's an enemy at work right now trying to undo everything in your life to make you not believe that God is who God says that God is. John the Baptist lived there. In Matthew chapter 11, he's in prison. And there's something about when noted public influential preachers get thrown in jail. It piques the perception of the public to make you want to know, why in the world is John in jail? John's a preacher, and John could preach.